Hillary Clinton is expected using social media to launch her bid for the White House in 2016. More from correspondent Bob Costantini.
It's a soft launch designed for a softer image, especially looking to avoid the inevitability trap. Hillary Clinton will start her campaign without huge rallies. Instead, she'll do small events, in effect reintroducing herself to voters in Iowa, where she came in third 7 years ago, and then on to New Hampshire.
New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio tells NBC's Meet the Press he's not endorsing Hillary Clinton for president yet, but says she shouldn't shy away from progressive stances on important issues.
There's an opportunity here to break with the past, to break with what's wrong with Washington by offering a bold vision that actually talks to what the American people are going through.
Tomorrow, Republican Senator Marco Rubio of Florida is expected to announce that he will vie for the 2016 GOP nomination for president. I'm Ann Cates. It's the final day for the 2015 Masters at Augusta National with 21-year-old Jordan Spieth in the spotlight. Correspondent Coy Wire says Spieth is being called a young Tiger Woods.
So far, this guy is just absurdly brilliant play. We'll see if anyone can catch him. Tiger has been the other big storyline here. He's currently at 6 under and tied for 5th place. So we'll see. He's looking a lot more like the old Tiger. He's paired up with Rory McIlroy today, so that's must-see TV if you're a golfer. But a lot of good stuff going on.
It would be Spieth's first Masters win if he gets handed the green jacket. Prices at the pump continue to drop. Industry analyst Trilby Lundberg says that gas prices have fallen by a nickel the past 3 weeks to an average of $2.45 a gallon. San Francisco has the most expensive gasoline at $3.13 a gallon. For the cheapest gas, head to Charleston, South Carolina, where motorists are paying $2.10 a gallon. Compared to this time last year, gasoline prices are down more than $1 a gallon as we head into the summer driving season. I'm Ann Cates.
Johnny wants to be a performer, and everybody knows school costs money. Johnny wants to know what he has to do to become a performer. Plus, he needs experience before he decides to spend the money for school. Johnny's confused. He has no one to talk to about his choices. He then hears an ad on the radio about Media8tor Arts Academy, where he can perform, network, train, and find a place to prepare for school. Johnny has found a place to expand his talents to make his decision and also increase his resume. Now, let's explain how Johnny got signed up. He went online to Media8Inc.com and clicked on register. They called him back, asked him what his vision was, then found a place for him to perform. Whether it's theater, music, or movies, as long as Johnny is willing, Media8Inc.com is able. And that's the story of how Johnny became a performer through Media8 Arts Academy.
With no end in sight for California's 4-year drought, many cities are investing in recycled water plants. Correspondent Jim Roop has more.
The Padre Dam Municipal Water District in San Diego County has sunk millions into a new recycled water purification plant that they plan to grow to a goal of recycling 10 million gallons of not-so-pleasant water into drinking water per day.
It's a critical situation, and we have to develop local water reliability.
General Manager Alan Carlisle says there is also a system being tested that recycles wastewater in what many call toilet to tap. If everything goes well, it could all be in full operation in just 5 years. Jim Roop, Los Angeles.
Fast and Furious 7 remains the top movie in the country for the second weekend in a row. And Fast and Furious 7's total worldwide box office so far has topped $800 million, making it the biggest movie of the year so far. According to Forbes, the 10-day take is the 9th biggest of all time. I'm Ann Cates.
Have you ever thought about publishing a book, but just didn't know how to do it? Well, at Media8, we try to make publishing simple. You ask questions, we give you answers. You want a book? We find the right option for you to publish. When you need advice about getting your methods out to the world, Media8 is the place to call. Register today at Media8Inc.com, where we make ideas seem simple.
This is a dangerous groups that we're dealing with now. It was a nightmare.
Flight 807, you're clear for landing. Runway 7, Bravo. All personnel report to the nearest tornado shelter. This is not a drill.
If you need help, then dial your operator.
Have no fear, fellow citizens. The Mediator is here.
a nightmare.
notice on one door.
Rolling. Motion. Roll on sound. And action.
Ladies and gentlemen, Ohioans, Pennsylvanians, welcome to the Mediator with Brian West and Alicia Sparks.
Hello, Jesse.
Let's go, guys.
Hey,
We
did
have
you guys
our
know?
guest in the studio, Dwayne Berger. He is going to talk about the case and the justice system as the topic for today. A lot's been going on with the justice system. Many people are wondering, where is our justice system, what has happened over the years. Starting in the days of Moses, you had the Ten Commandments, you had the legal system in its birth and all of its entirety. We have on the phone Marcia, is that her name? Marcia is going to be on the phone with us too. So we're going to talk about the justice system today. We're going to talk about the cases that are happening right now, the Confederacy. We're going to talk about the United States a little bit. One of the references for today's show is by Brian Stevenson. It is a book called Just Mercy, A Story of Justice and Redemption. If nobody knows who Brian Stevenson is, he is an attorney. Well, he decided to take on some nonprofit duties to try to represent people who were victims of the justice system, and he found out that the world of the Justice Department is not what it seems to be. There is a lot going on in the justice system where people are killed and on death row, a lot of innocent people. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Scoot, welcome to the show, man.
What's you doing?
Dwayne Berger, my man. So now you had a run-in, you and your friend. Is she still on the line? Are you there, Marcia?
Yes, I'm here.
All right, perfect.
Hello.
Now you two had you ran into some the justice system yourself. You saw the effects down south. I mean, not just down south, but even what it can do to a person's life in the sense of just going about your daily routine, living a day-to-day life, and trying to see what justice is really about. Tell us what your view is, real quick, Dwayne, on the justice system.
Yeah, most definitely, because a lot of people don't realize, the stages of the stress that you go through, dealing with the justice system.
Right.
I mean, in my situation, not having anything to do with a crime and then getting took off the streets, being found guilty of this crime. But then the next part of it is being inside the system and then being treated like a criminal.
Yeah.
Having to go through the rules and guidelines when, you're like, man, I ain't even did nothing.
Yeah. Sparks is usually next to me. She over there, so
it's far.
Yeah, it is far. I feel so far away from you.
I can't even reach you.
But now you guys, when you were down south, you got involved. You went down there with good intentions. I read your story. I was focused. I was very, very inspired by how well it was written and how you went into detail on what actually took place.
Let me see that book. What's it called?
Brian Stevenson? Or you want to see Dwayne Berger's book?
I want to see his book.
This is Dwayne Berger's book. He wrote it to me. So we're gonna let's get into this a little bit, Dwayne. Now you were down there and you went down there with good intentions. You wanted to provide for the city of Youngstown. That was your goal. You wanted to go down there. You wanted to make it in the music business, and you ran into an altercation. Tell us about what happened now that you and Marcia are on the phone together. I'll ask you first, Dwayne.
Well, like you said, when I went down there, it was good intentions. I was going down there, to pursue, the music.
Yeah, the music business.
Also, I was going to Youngstown State in Youngstown. And I was transferring, to go to a school down there while I was down there.
Yeah.
And, things happen. She ended up in some financial trouble and, the influence over her, by her boyfriend at the time, caused the crime to occur.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But, like, me, I'm trying to stay out of it,
Right.
Yeah. I'm trying to mind my business, you know what I'm saying, and continue to pursue, what I was pursuing.
Yeah.
And then
that's when it happened.
Yeah, this event happened, you know what I'm saying, and I end up getting caught up in it, Once I get in the system, I'm trying to figure out how I'm in there, why I'm in there.
Right.
But at the same time, I'm trying to stay prayed up, you know what I'm saying? I'm putting my faith in God, you know what I'm saying, that He bring me through it.
And not to cut you off, but I was going to say, just even, looking through and breezing through your book and what you've been writing, it just seems so positive and so motivating and so inspirational, to be where you are and to not really understand why you are where you are and to try and make the best of it. I still feel like, just looking through it, you were very optimistic.
Well, I call it the truth shall set me free.
Mm-hmm.
10-year Fed time.
So now you and Marcia are friends now. Marcia, are you and Dwayne are good friends now?
Yeah, we never became enemies or anything like that. You know, me going through the situation, I seen what we was up against. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, I know, you know, the tactics that they play on people. It just was, I guess they got the best of her.
Yeah, there's a lot going on with down south in the Confederate States. A lot of people think the justice system down there needs to be reorganized. Even in the book, Brian Stevenson explains the fact that some of the people who were incarcerated had mental problems. They were still on death row. Mm-hmm. You had youth who were going through stuff at home and they were still on death row. It was one case where the one kid, his mother was being abused by his stepfather, so he got a gun and he shot his stepfather. Right. They were gonna execute him. Wow. But they were showing no sympathy for African Americans. Now, Marcia, since you're down south, tell us what it's like in that environment.
I see. Well, for me, when I moved down here in 2000, I came for the American dream as well.
Yeah.
For my children, I have 2 children. And I'm really rooting for them.
Right.
I never stayed in such a culture, a state where it was more African Americans than any other culture.
Yeah.
Per se. So that was a little culture shock for me when I first moved here.
Right.
Yeah.
But from what I see over the years, I still see that racist barrier. It really hasn't been broken too much from when I first moved here.
Yeah.
It almost seems like it's gotten worse.
Wow.
And that's what me and Scoop were talking about on the way up here about the Confederate States, is they still have not been able to adapt to that. I mean, when you're talking about
equality.
Yeah, just the equality. So tell us a little. Now, you two both had to go through interrogation. Am I correct?
Yes, we did.
So tell us a little bit now, Scoop, what was interrogation like when you had to go through interrogation?
Honestly, when I got interrogated, it was kind of funny for real. I mean, even though it was a serious situation,
right?
Yeah.
It just was too acted out.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because, like, you know, they trying to make me involved with the case.
Right.
And I'm telling them I ain't had nothing to do with it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The whole time I'm telling them I don't know anything.
Right.
And while I'm telling them this, they banging on the table, they throwing the chairs and stuff like that. It was like some movie stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
So, I mean, that right there, it kind of kept me from being real scared and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Because I didn't really take them as serious. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You felt like you were in your movie. I get it.
Now, what about you, Marcia? How was your interrogation?
It was a little different for me. Like, those banging on the tables and those scare tactics got to me personally because, you know, they were telling me I would never see my children again for the next 20 years. And
wow.
So that scared me, you know. But all the while, I did tell them my truth.
Uh-huh.
Which it also entailed saying that Dwayne didn't have anything to do with everything that was involved.
And that's what I got out of Dwayne's story. It seemed like, Scoop, like you were involved, like you had got in the middle of a situation to where it seemed like everybody was trying to protect you in the situation. Why do you think they were trying to protect you, Scoop?
Well, like,
because I was a woman with children, and I probably seemed vulnerable to them.
What about you, Scoop? Well, what do you think? Why do you think they were trying to protect you, the group that you guys were in? And then we'll talk a little bit about what actually happened.
Well,
I never had any kind of criminal background history or anything,
right?
And the other co-defendant did. So, and it was pretty long.
It seems like they knew exactly where to where your vulnerability was. They knew to attack you where your children were and where you felt like, okay, this is really serious.
Now, this was a bank robbery, am I correct? This was a bank robbery that took place, and Dwayne, you were in the circle, so you ended up, you did 10 years, am I correct?
Yeah.
So tell us now, Marcia, let's see what Dwayne, now, when they were targeting you, and you were supposed to be the innocent one, was everybody, who all was, what happened? I mean, so this is what I'm saying. you guys went into a situation. The main thing is you needed money. Everybody needed money, and that's the main thing.
Right.
And this is why I wanted to stress this topic today, because sometimes people don't know what it's like when you get desperate. Some people, and you have to put yourself in the shoes of everybody. And that's why I do listen to a lot of people when they tell their stories.
Well, from my understanding, I mean, it was a bit of desperation, but it wasn't that much desperation because, you know, I was in the process of getting a job where, you know what I'm saying, we would have been okay.
Right.
And from my understanding, after communicating with Marcera and, you know, this way after the case, you know, and finding things out that when she ended up doing what she did, it wasn't necessarily out of desperation because I needed money. You know what I'm saying? I ended up learning that she had a gun put to her head. You know what I'm saying?
Wow, did she?
That changes
you know
everything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, you know, when you hear and find that out, you know what I'm saying? I mean, it bothered me, you know what I'm saying, because, you know, something like that happened to her, you know what I'm saying? And that never got stressed, you know what I'm saying, during the process of the court case. And then in my situation, I'm charged with a conspiracy, you know what I'm saying? And that right there, it would have eliminated conspiracy.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So when they investigated and they did and you saw what was taking place, you in your heart you saw innocence. So they all this, and the sad part about that, I think what happens when things happen is nobody gets to actually tell the story. It becomes a game.
Right.
So and the game was that you have one attorney who's trying to win a case to build up his resume.
Right.
And you have another attorney who's trying to win their case to build up their resume.
Exactly.
Right. The moral of the story is somebody is trying to protect money, which is money.
Right.
They're trying to protect money. And you ended up getting involved with something that happened, which was a spontaneous event that occurs in nature because somebody could not support or feed their family.
Right.
So when you think about that and you think about the building up of African Americans in this day, do you think it had anything to do with racism why you guys were treated the way you were?
That's a good
racism.
Question. I think anybody who would have committed a crime, you know what I'm saying, and got pursued by the authorities, you know, would have ended up, you know, in jail. You know what I'm saying? It's just
that's the way it was set up.
When the racism aspect come into it, it's just more or less when you walk inside those prison gates and you see who's behind there, you know what I'm saying? And then when you being drugged and carried this way and carried that way, that's when you really start to
start to sink in.
See racism involved, you know what I'm saying? Because like me getting snatched up on a case, I didn't see it as it's happened because of racism.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? There was a crime that was committed and I just got caught up in it.
Yeah.
Right.
But it was once I got up in the situation and, you know what I'm saying, I'm sincerely letting them know, you know what I'm saying, that I ain't have anything to do with this and it's like they trying to create a crime, you know what I'm saying, against me now.
Right.
You know, I'm taking it personal now. You know what I'm saying? I might look at it as racist at that point in period of time, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
What about you, Marcia?
Can I say when I was being interrogated, I had a white attorney and 2 other federal agents were also interviewing me as well. They told me statistically black women don't commit crimes. They specifically said black women do not commit armed robberies by themselves. They have to have
an accomplice,
male figure behind.
Wow.
Whatever happened. And I was like, okay, so you trying to say I didn't act on my own? No, we know you had somebody because statistically black women don't commit these crimes. That's what I was told.
And technically, what it all spurred down to was the fact you guys were desperate. You needed finances. You needed some way to feed yourselves. And I think that's what. And you now, did you guys try to find like any nonprofits or anybody to help you before all this went down?
Man, and see, I'm about to let me say something because of the fact that, you know what I'm saying, all throughout the court they paint the picture like this was a plan. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, you know, this been thought out and stuff like that.
Yeah.
When really it kind of was like the spur of the moment.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
What about you, Marcia? What was the go ahead, you were about to say something.
No, it wasn't planned. Like Dwayne said, it was pretty much spur of the moment decision. But it was like you mentioned earlier about being heard, about your story being told. No, I wasn't listened to. Everything, it was like when I told them about what happened, really what happened, it was like, okay, so let's just change that a little bit.
Wow, man, that's deep.
Wow. And like, okay, so what was Dwayne's part? Well, he didn't have anything to do with it. Well, that doesn't seem like, that doesn't fit well with us.
Wow.
To me, I'm like, well, what doesn't fit well? He didn't have anything to do with it.
Right.
It was just me and the
That's
other
crazy.
Even
and
with you telling the truth.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, I mean, from there, it was, you know, it was telling me no contact with them. And I didn't know what was going on after that. I didn't have any say, pretty much, after that.
And you know what's sad about that, Marcia, is like they've got a rap sheet down south of cases. And then I was reading when I read your book, Scoop, that you gave to me. You said you were on the stand, Scoop, and you said this was going through your head, but that one of the people who they had on the stand was saying things to you that did not happen. She's pretty much lying. And as it was going on, you were sitting there and you couldn't understand why she was not telling the truth. And then after the fact, when you were in jail, you said she sent you a letter explaining to you why she was not telling the truth. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So it was fabricated.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, it was basically, I mean, I'm trying to go back to that letter, you know what I'm saying? Because in the letter, she explained, you know, to my attorney, you know, what was going on through her head. It's really hard to really recall the paragraphs and stuff, because she said some graphic things, and you know, those things was pertaining to her being forced to do what she did.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And in the event of that happening, because man, the prosecutor real good. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I listen to a lot of the stuff that they say when I'm on the stand. Like they paint the picture of me, you know what I'm saying, as this villain. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And like even when it got to the point where, you know, Marcera, she sent me the affidavit, you know what I'm saying, you know, clearing my name. You know, they got me evidentiary hearing. I get to the hearing, they don't appoint me counsel.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Wow.
So I'm at the hearing and I have to cross-examine Marcera. She up on the stand and I have to cross-examine her. And I later find out from her, they tell her to plead the fifth to all my questions. You know what I'm saying? So she not knowing, she doing what they telling her to do. She pleading the fifth, and they deny me. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's just all type of tactics that they did to keep this stuff under the rug. You know what I'm saying? It ain't like, okay, they got all this evidence against me, you know what I'm saying, and they using it, they fabricating stuff, and then the truth they hiding.
So what's your take, Sparks? You think it was had anything to do with race? What was going on?
You know, I don't necessarily think it's a racial thing. Like what he was explaining, saying, you know, when he was in this moment, which I can understand because it's so overwhelming, and trying to just process the whole situation when, you know, things are being fabricated against you. How do you even process that? But you know, being that it is down south, of course, you know, it might have had some type of racial effect, but I do believe that anybody that goes through, you know, the justice system, whether they're up north, whether they're down south, they're going to be subject to these type of situations. And at the end of the day, the courts just want to have somebody to point a finger at. So whoever it's going to be, when they make up their mind collectively, like, okay, this is the person we're going to go after, they make every way possible to make sure that it looks that way.
I do want to say this though, you know what I'm saying, because you know, it's a blog you can look up. It's on the internet. It's called "The Secret Meeting That Destroyed the Hip Hop Industry," or destroyed rap music. About that. And one of the things in it though, they did target a certain target a certain people, and their plan did work because they filled up all those prisons that they built with us.
So we're about to get. I'm gonna get into that in a second about the prison system and the justice system. So now we got Marcia's Miss Marcera, right? Now we got her take on it. She seems to be. Now the question is, now you guys did how many years did you do, Scoop?
I did 10.
Or Dwayne. What about you, Marcera?
3.
How many?
3.
Oh, you did 3. Okay, so that's 3 years of your life, and even in the book where I was reading, they had cases down there where a guy had there was a Caucasian woman, and he was his name was Walter. He was a very, very sweet guy. Everybody says he was a sweet person. I'm gonna tell you about this case, and then we'll get into the justice system and what I think about it. He ends up getting involved with this Caucasian girl.
Okay.
And she's married. So he's going about his daily routine, very well-rounded guy, and he ends up she comes on to him, she provokes him, and they have sex.
Right.
After they have sex, something happens to where there's murders, and it created so much strife between the fact that these two had an intimate relationship.
Right.
So what we're saying is that this man did not know what he was about to get into. Now, they put him on death row for the murder of people, and then they found out after a while that he did not do it and he was innocent.
Wow.
So he spent quite a bit of time in jail, and at the end of his journey, he fell into dementia to where he kept playing back. Now, this is the stuff that's going on down there when we talk about justice system. He kept trying to play back those memories because of all of the... Now, when somebody is innocent and you're in prison, nobody knows what that feeling is like.
Right.
Even if you had good intentions and you're around and you want to you go home. It's just like being in the military. You know, you don't understand why you have to do this.
Right.
So when you see that, Dwayne, now that you've done 10 years, and this guy, he got out, he got... When you go through that, how can they repay you back for the time you've lost in a situation like that?
Man, it's tough. I mean, it's hard.
That's time.
I mean, to say repay, I don't think you can be repaid back.
No.
I mean, it's things that they could do to, to
expunge your name.
I mean, I can't even say repay because of the fact that it's stuff that you can't get back.
Yeah.
Like with me, you know what I'm saying? I had a daughter that I had custody of. I had two daughters, but one of them I had custody of, and when I got locked up, she was 4.
Wow.
I came home, she 14, and those years I can't get back. You know what I'm saying? Watching them develop, that's what's important to me. You know what I'm saying? I did the time. I seen them on visits and stuff. I kept letters flowing and stuff like that, but it's stuff that I can't see them repaying. I mean, they can reimburse me.
Right.
What about you?
Some money,
you can't get your time back.
You can't get that back.
What about you, Marcia? Do you think there's any price that can be paid for people just not being able to resolve the issue? I mean, like I said, things can be resolved peacefully.
Oh, most definitely.
I think in any situation. I think even like I said, I did a lot of research for the show. So you got situations to where a kid just has mental problems. They're putting them on death row. There was a situation where a guy was actually eating and drinking his own fetus and feces, and they put him on death row. They had him in the courtroom. He's screaming and hollering, and nobody can understand what he's doing. He's not on medicine.
Right.
So this is a system of just brutality and justice. This is what people are fighting for, and they don't understand what these people are fighting for or what they're going through. So, so now we talk about the system of slavery, to where many people, a lot of scholars, a lot of people who are in the system now believe that the justice system has been redeveloped into an institution of slavery. Would you say that, Scoop?
Yeah, I agree with that.
Wow.
And
you believe it?
Yeah, because of the fact that is it the 13th or 14th Amendment, which abolished slavery, but in the wording it say except in the commission of a crime. So it say except, you know what I'm saying, which allow you to go back into slavery or involuntary servitude, which that's what's going on behind the walls. Involuntary servitude, you working for these companies that's not in the system, you know what I'm saying, and they getting almost nothing free labor.
I've heard it's a $1 billion business. I heard it's a pretty
multi-billion-dollar business. It was a speaker come in one day, and he was reading a book. I think it was some paragraphs out of T.D. Jakes' book, and it was talking about how a lot of major corporations, you know what I'm saying, buy stock in the prison system. You know what I'm saying? So they best interest is to keep it full. Right. You know what I'm saying? You got probably judges and prosecutors on the low got stock in them private prisons.
Right.
Yeah, you want to keep them filled. You know?
That's amazing.
That's like free labor.
Yeah. So
free money.
Now, Now that's amazing because the justice system was. They say that the first laws of the justice system came from the Ten Commandments. A lot of people believe that was the foundation. Many, and this was a big debate when they tried to take the Ten Commandments out of the picture. People say that this was the first actual legal system that was put in place when you probably had legal systems in Egypt and things like that.
Of course.
So when you, what is your take on the biblical standpoint of what you guys had to go through? Do you think, because I was reading in your book, you say you turned a lot to the Bible, you turned to God to get understanding. Do you think there was a purpose behind all this?
On the spiritual side, I do. You know what I'm saying? Because my situation allowed me to grow. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you seem like you learned a lot in behind bars.
Yeah, that was being thrown in that situation, not having anything to do with it. The first thing you're gonna do is turn to God, and me sincerely seeking and trying to understand, why God had me in that position that I was in. It caused me to gain knowledge and grow off of it.
Now, what about you, Miss Marcia, right? Marcia. Now, you're from a woman's perspective. You had to, you had kids and things like that. Tell us what it was like in the being incarcerated.
Oh gosh, it was, for me, it was torture being away from my children. I never had been away from my children. At the time, they were 10 and 12, I believe.
Wow.
Yeah. Or maybe, no, they probably was 8, 10. But it was just surreal. Like, I couldn't believe I was in this situation.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And I really thought, in my mind, that I was going to get some kind of help for what I went through.
Mm-hmm.
It was abuse, pretty much. But that was it. They didn't ask me about anything about myself or anything. They just
pretty much.
But the prison life is not really. It can break you down if you're not mentally strong.
Right.
That's all I can say, because I've seen a lot in there. A lot. And I would never want anyone to go through that.
And what I wanted to say is, because when I got incarcerated, she was out on bond, and we was end up corresponding, and while I was corresponding with her, I was kind of trying to prepare her for what she might encounter, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Once it was time for her to start doing her time, So I was preaching, the Bible to her.
I think that's what I'm trying to, because you grew, you learned some things.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think it made you a better man, or I mean, what is your take on that, Dwayne?
I believe so. I was always a good person. I think what my experience really gave me was content. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I always had the heart, to want to help, give, teach. But when I went through my situation, I really was giving something. You know what I'm saying? I was giving something real.
Quick tagline, everybody. You're listening to Media with Brian West and Alicia Sparks.
Yeah.
I always pronounce her name. I'm so sorry. She's my co-host, and we've got a history. I'm so sorry, Miss Sparks. That's why I just call you Sparks.
That's fine.
We're in the Media with Brian West and Mrs. Sparks, and we are talking to Dwayne Berger and his friend Marcera, and they're talking about their run-in with the justice system. And if you want to donate to the program, Media8tor.com. We are always accepting. We have campaigns running now where we're trying to get support. We do movies, we do everything. So now we're talking to Marcia, correct?
Marcia.
I'm so bad with names.
Sarah.
I'm so bad with names.
Marcera.
I'm just gonna call her Mars. Is it okay if I call you Mars?
Mars.
Okay. Now, Mars. Now you lost. You saw this hands on when you had to take matters into your own. And this is what's deep about this, because when people have to take matters into their own hands, they do things. And if you go back into slavery, for them to take matters into their own hands, they had to rebel against the masters.
Right.
So, Marcia, I'm so sorry. I said Mars.
Just call her Mars.
I was to say Mars.
Just be done with
I'm
it.
bad with names.
Just call her Mars.
I got so many biblical names in my head that I'm so bad with names. That's why my mother named me Brian. Just keep it simple.
Mars.
So Mars.
There it is.
Now, What made you decide to do this? What made you decide to take matters into your own hands? Were you desperate?
It was fear. Simple. Period. And ironically, what started this ball rolling was the movie Set It Off.
Wow.
And it was a part in there, Vivica Fox said, what's the procedure when you got a gun to your head?
Right.
Oh.
I remember that movie.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. And if you ask anybody that, they'll tell you what they think.
Uh-huh.
When that gun is in your head, it's a whole nother ball game.
Yeah, my mother had a gun put up to her head. So
it only takes a half a second for somebody to pull that trigger. Okay?
Oh, wow.
And my kids were my first thought, you know, and he would threaten me with the fact that, you know, there was a time when I came home from work and my kids were sitting in the living room, and I usually pick them up from school. I was the only one who would pick them up from school at that time.
Right.
So that bothered me that some man, stranger, can just come and get my kids out of school.
Right.
So with that, I was scared.
Right.
Period. And I didn't know what he was capable of.
Right.
At that time. So that the night of the incident, the night before, that gun was basically right in my head the whole night.
Oh,
I mean,
wow.
like,
and that's what started
it. Sleep. I didn't sleep for 24 hours.
Wow.
That whole entire night, that whole day. So,
and you know,
I was just scared. Period. So I was just doing what I was told, and I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know if I was going to watch it.
And the thing about that right there is what troubled me the most, because you know, she let me know that she spoke this to the prosecutor and stuff like that.
Right.
And they wouldn't allow those comments to come out in court.
Oh, wow.
You know what I'm saying? And
So
these are the
wow.
tactics.
Yeah,
no,
this is not. You're not talking about a counseling system here. You're talking about a system that was specifically designed to not even resolve this problem.
Right.
And I think that's where the strife is. Listen, everybody. I'm sorry. The Media with Brian West, Method8inc.com. If you want to donate to the program. So you're saying that this system pretty much collapsed right in front of your eyes when you were trying to find a way to resolve this matter.
And I can't even imagine because, you know, myself being a mother as well, and I know how difficult it is and how, you know, the systems are set up even with your children, and to make sure that, you know, they are protected in school, to make sure that the right people sign them in, sign them out, to get them out of school.
That's crazy.
You know, I can only imagine how scared you were, and to not even be a person to be about this lifestyle or to be about this life, and to be forced to do something that you've never experienced in your life before, that you would never think that you would come up to do on your own, and now you're being forced to do that, not only as a mother, but your life is in jeopardy, your children's life are in jeopardy, you know. So I couldn't even imagine what that would feel like.
Now, Dwayne, I mean, what do you think? Even in this situation where I'm talking about Brian Stevenson, this guy was struggling with some things. He said sometimes, and he was operating as a paralegal. He was going in at first, and he spent most of his life representing people who are incarcerated, and he said he would hear people say things like when they would watch the news, like, everybody in prison think that they're innocent. And this is what people would tell him when they would see these people on TV. Now the media covers these stories, and all the spotlight is around the whole case.
Everybody's watching.
Did you, when you had to go through this, and did the media help you in any sense? Or
I mean, in our situation, it wasn't really any media, and it was crazy because of the fact that, you know, when I was supposed to go to trial, my trial was set September 11th, 2000.
Yeah, I read about it.
So, you know, my mother, my family came from Ohio to Atlanta, you know, to support me.
Right.
And then the World Trade Center went down the day of my trial. So, you know, when my trial got rescheduled, I'm going to trial with no support. Wow. So, you know, they looking at me like I'm I ain't got nobody.
Right, nothing.
We ain't about to let him beat us,
Right.
you know, with nobody. You know what I'm saying? So it was easy for them to do.
So
what
you
they
just did not feel like your life mattered at that particular time.
did. Not to them.
There's no way. There's no way.
I was just another number.
Right.
Wow.
Right.
And in that situation, I think I'm starting to see they always say there's two sides of stories, or
Right.
there's sides of the stories. And the thing is that you saw something, they saw something, and the people around you saw something. What did you see when you were going through? I mean, what was your vision? What was your goal that you were trying to achieve before all this went down? That got you in the situation.
Well, I mean, you know, and it's crazy because a lot of it was kind of my idea, not the crime, but as far as going down to Atlanta, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Was a lot of me just needing to get down there.
Into
That's where I
another
needed to be.
environment.
So
Right.
my dude, you know, who was, from my understanding, was messing with Marcera, you know, he was my avenue, you know, he said he would go down there if I went with him, and
Right.
you know what I'm saying?
That's how it happened.
That's how we
back.
ended up going down there. And,
Right.
and it was crazy because when we got down there was a journey. We broke down, spent the night on the side of the highway in Tennessee.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, we went job hunting.
Right.
While we job hunting, we catching flat tires. One time, I mean, the last time we drove, her engine went out in the car. I mean, it was one event after another. It was like it all led up to that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's the only way it would have happened. I think.
If walls could talk, if walls could talk,
yeah.
What do you think they would have been telling y'all of what was actually going on at this particular time? I'll start with you, Morris.
Marcera.
I'm gonna say Morris.
Thank
I'm
you.
not even gonna try.
You know,
Goodness gracious.
you know, even before, when I went down there, when I went to Ohio, there was some, before I even left Atlanta, because I had just moved here not that long ago.
Yeah.
Before this incident happened, there was something telling me, don't do this. That intuition, and I didn't listen.
Oh, wow.
I did not listen.
So there were signs.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was something telling me not to go. But I listened. I did it, you know. And everything happened so fast. Wow. And when he did come down, it was a whole difference from what he was telling me on the phone how it was going to be.
Wow.
First of all, I didn't even know Dwayne was supposed to come to Atlanta.
Wow. Yeah.
Wow.
So that was the first surprise right there. And like you said, everything started kind of snowballing from there.
Right.
So this is all for chasing the American dream. Wow.
Yeah.
And wanting better.
It really didn't start off. It didn't start off right. And it definitely didn't.
Now, Dwayne, you were in the military. You were an Army veteran, and you served. That means that you were on the battlefield for the people who were representing you.
Oh.
You know, this was
That's so deep.
Yeah. Now that is deep.
That's so deep.
You put your life on the line
and turn around,
and you did not even have a voice.
Nothing.
in the whole trial. So now that you've got, tell us. Because you use rap music, you use art as a way to you know what I'm saying, as you've been doing since the beginning. Since I met you, this is what you've used to people. There's a lot of skeptics against the hip hop industry, and there's a lot of skeptics against artists like yourself. Tell us why you chose rap music to relieve your what was on your mind.
Well, I think it actually chose me because, you know, I started formulating my words later in the game, and you know, I just started getting good with it. And like I said, when I got incarcerated, that gave me the content that I really need to be, you know what I'm saying, delivering to people, you know.
Right.
Spoken word, you know what I'm saying, whether it's the rap music, you know, it give me that outlet to, you know what I'm saying, let it out.
Right.
Yeah. Earlier
that
you
was
were talking about me soaking it up as a sponge. I soak everything up as a sponge. Then there come a time where that sponge is full and it got to be right.
That's right.
Yeah.
You got to do it.
That's deep. Now, and this is what you continue to do. And you talked about some other things too in your word about how you learned how to braid hair.
Oh yeah.
You had.
I still do that. I got an appointment later on.
By all means.
Yeah.
Make that money.
You had some problems with weed and things like that.
Yeah.
Now, that seemed to be, for some odd reason, let me give like everybody's take out there. I've been around quite a few artists since I took on this little mission of, and artists have with this they have pain, I guess. I don't understand it, but they choose weed for some odd reason. Now we're talking about the justice system, and we're talking.
Zone you out,
what do you think is going to happen? What do you think will happen if they legalize weed?
It already has started to be legalized.
Oh God,
it's just not here, not in Ohio.
Oh God, what about you, Morris? What's your take on that justice system and letting people smoke it? Just let them just.
Oh gosh,
Hey,
trying to already start the process down here in Georgia.
They started.
Hey, you know what's crazy? Like, cause like, in my last 9 months, I ended up doing in a hole. I did 9 months in a hole.
Yeah, I read about that.
Yeah, I got
a long time.
I went to the hole because of the weed.
Okay.
Wow. That is
And now you get out, and now it's about to be legalized. Like,
Hey, but look, when I was going to the hole, the lieutenant that was over my little situation, he was telling me, he was like, they out there talking about legalizing this. You know what I'm saying? Like, you might get this at the wrong time.
right.
Oh my
because
God.
it's legal in certain states already, and they're slowly pushing for different states.
Now you got kids, Mars. What you think about that? I mean, would you want your kids to be involved in would you? I know you don't want them to go what you went through, but what do you think about that since you got kids?
Yeah, I don't know. I was young at one time, and I have a family in Colorado actually, where it is legal.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like I tell my kids to be responsible.
Right.
Period.
Right.
Because it's people that drink that's not responsible, and that's legal.
Right.
And they out here killing people.
Right.
Wow.
Right.
Right.
So I just tell my kids, look, if you do drugs, because I can't stop them, and I've done it when I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
So I just tell them to be responsible.
Yeah, just be responsible.
It's a fun time, and it's time to play, and it's a time to get serious and do what you have to do.
I also think,
and you on the weekend, whatever, if you're having fun, okay. But this stops when you got to go to work, when you got business to take care of,
I think that also, seeing as though your children were of an age of awareness when you did go to jail, or when you were incarcerated, that it's a little bit more identifiable for them to understand what you're saying to them about, okay, if you're going to do it, know that there's a time and a place for it, because you don't want to be where I was at. And I don't want to see you there. So, take heed to my words. Listen to what I'm saying, because you don't want to be where I was. And now that your children are, teenagers or,
they're actually grown,
right, full-blown adults, at this point in time, I think they could definitely identify with that, and that might have changed their lives, even just seeing you go through
another thing, like I told them, we all make mistakes.
Right.
In life, everybody has.
Right.
Mine is just out there. Mine caused me to serve time in jail.
Right.
Wow.
Some people cause them to be dead.
Right.
Unfortunately.
Right.
But I tell them just to be, be responsible in everything you do. You know what I'm saying? Because, they see me in a positive role model is I've been going to school, I stay in school.
Right.
And though I made my mistakes, they forgave me for it. Unfortunately, society hasn't, but that's okay.
Quick tagline. I'm sorry, go ahead, Morris.
But they see me still like, that was a mistake that I made. Mom, we understand you made a mistake.
Yeah.
And you moved on from it, which I had.
Right.
I have a steady job now. I've come back from that, 100 times over. And people look at me and would never know that I ever did time. For my story.
And that's something that I commend both of you for, because a lot of times there are people that are incarcerated that never make it back out, that don't have their lives, or that come out and they don't know how to integrate back into society, or individuals that have a chip on their shoulder within situations such as this, where they feel like somebody owes them something, and they carry on their life throughout the rest of that. So I commend and I tip my hat to the both of you, because you both have moved moved on with your life and you're trying to do something positive.
Quick tagline real quick. You're listening to the Mediator with Brian West and
Alicia. And
Alicia Sparks.
We're going to go for method8inc.com. If you want to be a contributor, if you want to help out, if you want to check us out, definitely make sure you get to method8, method8inc.com.
Yeah, we need donations for we do research, we do pretty much everything possibly could think of in the arts to try to advance people's so what do you we down to the last 9 minutes of the program. Scoop, tell us what you're doing now. What are you doing now to pretty much, you're free, you got your freedom. Tell us a little bit what you're doing now.
Well, first of all, like y'all mentioned earlier, I was putting my book together. Truth Shall Set Me Free, 10-year Fed time. I also in the studio recording. I got a label that I'm trying to push. My label called Good to Be Free Records.
Nice.
Right now, and hopefully before this month over, my stuff will be in. I got my clothesline I'm about to put out.
Yeah, you trying?
Awesome.
I'm trying to make it happen.
You will make it happen.
Yeah, it's been tough. You know what I'm saying? As far as you go out there trying to find a job. You know what I'm saying? And they already talking about recession, and then I'm filling out applications, and I got a marked convicted felon.
Right.
And then when I'm questioned about it, you know what I'm saying, I'm looked at as a violent criminal because the crime is an armed bank robbery at that. You know what I'm saying? So I had so many marked strikes against me. You know what I'm saying? It's like, let me go out here head first and get my stuff together. You know what I'm saying? Be an entrepreneur. You know what I'm saying?
And fight for it.
Exactly.
That's the only way it's going to happen.
Now, what about you, Mars? What's life like for you now that you're on the outside and you're raising your kids?
Well, I when I first got home, it was a definite struggle. Like Dwayne said, checking that box was real hard.
Right.
But I did a lot of praying, and I just asked God, lead me where I need to go.
That's right.
So I actually changed careers. I'm a medical billing coordinator now, and I'm in healthcare administration.
Nice.
So the before I was in the county.
Yeah.
So couldn't do that anymore. So I had to find my way, and I still do numbers, but I do it on the medical billing side now in healthcare administration, and I work for a nonprofit organization.
Oh, okay.
And ironically, we get volunteers that come and help us from community service or something, and I'm one of the people that help them talk to them.
Now I have a question. My question is where you both are in life at this point in time. Previous to any of this happening and you being incarcerated and doing time and getting to where you are, do you feel that either one of you would be mentally where you are today?
Yeah, I was going to ask this.
Previously, I felt it.
Yeah,
I felt
it
from across the table.
The
do any of you feel that, had you not gone through what you've went through, that you would be where you are mentally today?
Me personally, I don't think so, because like I said, I learned a lot. I soaked that experience up like a sponge. I had so many different cellies. I mean, I had cellies that probably was a billionaire. I had a cellie who had 250 million C's from him. I had a cellie, you know what I'm saying? This cat, he showed me his books. He had 500,000 on his books, you know what I'm saying? So I was around a lot of people who was sharpening me, you know. These dudes been there, you know what I'm saying? And not only what I learned from these cats, just watching how the system was turning, you know what I'm saying? I'm seeing young dudes come in. I was in class the other day, and they talking about how the average human being frontal lobe don't develop until they 25 years old. They say it take 25 years for your frontal lobe to develop, which dealing with your decision making and analyzing situations. And I look in the system, and the system is full of us 25 and under. That's where you coming in at. You know what I'm saying? And they taking advantage of that.
Right.
Wow.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
So now this is because everybody knows that the justice system needs to be reorganized. Everybody knows what's going on. Everybody. Now that you're free, and there is an army that probably could restructure it, and they probably can go in there and change it around. So I guess what the question is what do you think needs to be done to rechange it?
I think I need to get out here.
I think young men especially need to be someone needs to just talk to them, be on their level. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I feel, because I have brothers, too, you know, and my mother was pretty much on their level. Like, she wasn't, don't do this, don't do that. She was like, how do you feel? What do you feel about this? She would ask us, you know, and get into our minds.
Right.
You know, what is on your heart? Why are you? What is this anger about?
She cared.
What is it that's making you so angry and mercy in it?
Right.
It makes you want to lash out. You know, I think it's just getting into the young man's mind. I don't think they have enough voice.
Well, what they need to see is a more success, you know what I'm saying? Because of the fact that, you know, you can talk or you want, but you know what I'm saying? They trying to see, you know, results, you know what I'm saying? So more of us got to become successful so they can have an example to follow, you know
and
what I'm saying?
And have a structure.
Exactly, because, you know,
so you just it sounds like you're not blaming anybody, and that's what I like about you, Dwayne. Like you look at what you've been through, you've learned from it, and it's like, I do know that I can make a difference. And I'm telling you, Sparks, ever since I've been around this man, he's always ambitious. He never gives up on his goal.
Right.
I mean, I'm an African American, so I know, but the thing is I've seen it from a different light. I've seen things happen, and I didn't have an explanation for it. But the thing I like about that, I think makes a man, is the fact that they get up, they accept
whatever the situation
serenity,
is.
The serenity.
Right.
God grant me serenity to accept things like, you know, and wisdom no difference.
I mean, like with me, I'm serious when I say that, you know, when I got in that situation, you know, it was God that brought me through it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Say that.
So me having that faith and belief in God, you know what I'm saying, I didn't just drop it when I got out, you know what I'm saying?
You just kept going.
Continue with me, you know what I'm saying? And I feel like, you know, I got a mission out here.
Right.
You know, that's what it's about.
Now, we're down to the last minute. I just want to make some closing comments, because of the fact that when people go through something, when they I always call it the balance. When you hit that point in your life where something either makes you or breaks you, and some people don't make it through that time, and in your heart, you know that what you did was justified. So basically, what is your definition of justice in the sense now that you're free in the last minute?
Just us.
Just us. Is that what it is? What about you, Marcia? Real quick, what's your definition of justice?
I don't know.
It's all right. Don't even worry about it. We'll talk later.
Yeah.
I want to thank everybody for tuning into the Media with Brian West.
Yes.
Go ahead, Sparks. Go ahead.
I was just going to say the same thing he did. You know, justice is just us. You know, and
I agree.
It's about what you make it. You know what I mean? And once again, you're making the best of it. The both of you are making the best of it. You're doing the best that you can with the things that you've been given. And I
thank you
commend
for tuning to the Mediator. We got next week coming on, The Dark Side of Human Nature. Have a good week, everybody. Thank you for tuning to the Media with Brian West and Alicia Sparks.
Hey, you got it right.
You are listening to News Talk 790 WPIC. Sharon Hermitage, a Cumulus station, sponsored by the Ridgewood at Shenango Valley, a premier senior living residence.